there's so many layers to it. I'm like, I want my child to know that. So now I'm doing my homework, trying to like build relations. Like Brandon always says, he's the bridge, right? Like in his family, he is the connector that keeps on connecting. But I want
It's
to bridge
hard work.
that bridge for our child.
Welcome back to the Kalaloo and Collard Greens podcast. And today is all about parenting, in particular, conscious parenting in a very complex world and doing so across cultures. So we are all parents. And I'll add, we are parents to the most spectacular little boys who are godbrothers.
They are.
And they are humorous and fun and just the most curious and fantastic little human beings.
They are.
And so we love being their parents, but as with love, as with building a relationship, building a family, building legacy, building cultural identity, and instilling that in two little Black boys anywhere is a very unique experience. And so really excited to kind of just hear a little bit more about what you all are doing with your son and how you're thinking through this and, you know, all the different ways that you kind of instill that pride and that excitement. So I kind of want to just start off just by hearing from both of you what was kind of that first moment where you introduced your son to his heritage? How did you do that? What's the first memory you have of that?
We took him to Jamaica.
Yes.
We took him to
Blew
Jamaica.
him right.
Yeah, we took him. He was maybe like 3 or 4 months.
Yeah.
Literally went to the doctor and was like, can he go out the country? And she was like, yes, of course. We were out. And while he got to see probably the more glamorous side in terms of like being a tourist, we haven't taken him fully to like country. But I always say our little human is part reggae, part soul, right? And just wanting him to always know that he has two beautiful cultures that kind of make up his both, you know, genetics and his experience in this world. Funny story, one of his first words was doctor. Like literally like straight up Jamaican accent. He probably got that from his nana. Because she always talking about doctor. And so for one of his first words literally was like doctor. And so now he walks around saying doctor. Like, but and I love how like open we have been about our cultural experience and like not and wanting him to know like you come from a deep Jamaican heritage, but you also have deep Southern roots as well. And a lot of that, I think we're trying, even with books and things that we've exposed him to.
I'm also just literally, he came right to the family reunion and entrenched himself. And my father's side of the family, we have every other year, we have our biannual family reunion. He won youngest. He won the youngest, family member. And, just expose, I think also just bringing a lot of family around him. And then, like Alicia was alluding to, the books, about history, about, famous figures is always important too.
I would say it's funny because hearing you guys talk about this, the biggest thing I feel like we had to kind of manage, even before we kind of figure out, okay, what's the plan here, was like, how does one's culture not become overwhelming, or how does it not become the focal point, right? Because I know even for me, right, I mean, we start thinking about family, like beyond when you think about the aspects of that in culture, right? You're thinking about how do you raise a family, right? Like, what's discipline gonna look like? What's correction gonna look like? What's maybe faith, spirituality, what that's all gonna look like, right? And again, I know for us, especially on my side, I was like, I saw things very one way, right? And I was like, oh, this.
What do you mean by one way, though?
Yeah, like for example, like I was a person where it was like we need to be on the same page about faith. We need to be on the same page about spirituality. We need to be on the same page about um where we spend holidays and how holidays are spent. The phones just keep telling us a lot of things throughout this.
Turn it off.
But but it was just
Sorry.
it was just you think about those core parts of building a family.
You imagine it in a certain way because of your limited scope and your limited view of how you grew up, and so
right,
your
exactly.
expectations of how a child is raised and what their lived experience is going to be is based off of your own lived experience. And so when someone comes in who has a whole different lived experience, a whole different cultural background, a whole different expectation, it's kind of like, where do these two things meet?
Yeah.
And it's really interesting. I mean, talking about how you all took your son to Jamaica, I think for me, my earliest memory of exposing our son to culture was probably his when he was 6 months, and we started the Black History Month series.
Yeah.
Oh.
And so
they do a really great Black History Month series.
So every year for Black History Month, it was part of a celebration. We started this kind of photography series where we dress our son up as historical figures and share information about them. And so we've been doing this since he was 6 months. We probably have a limit on it the older he gets, because he's probably not going to have as much fun dressing up. But that was our way of kind of, hey, let's start early with giving him some whatever bit of the education he'll absorb, but at least the memories, the positive connections, the positive feelings associated with these types of significant things for culture. But those, even things like that, are things that we saw differently growing up.
Yeah.
Like the way that our families taught us appreciation in celebration of our culture and of our heritage was different. It was a different time.
Yeah, and I think it's a good point to call out too, because when you said that, like, I'm thinking about, Kamala Harris. I'm thinking about Usain Bolt. I'm thinking about a lot of it being very external, right? Where it's like, where there's a pride and sense of, that West Indian heritage, and it's celebrating external, like, those external figures, those prominent figures, right? And I think where I saw for you was a lot of your education was internal, and and there was, whether it was books, whether it was, well, did the conversations you had with your great grandfather, right? It was a lot of that notion, right? That I think helped build a little bit of like kind of our differences in how we shared experiences.
No, that's a great point. I think a lot of how I grew up had a lot to do with having pride in your immediate family and your family's story.
Yeah.
And what, those individual narratives, those individual stories, the relationships that I had with elders.
The story part, though.
Yeah.
Can we, let's double down on that? Because I think for me, I love family. Like, any opportunity we can get to, like, literally immerse into the arms of family members, that's what we do. But I even think about my own experience where I don't know half my family. Because when you pick up and you move to a whole other country, and your family, like for me, my family was the church people.
Yep.
It was like auntie so-and-so, auntie this, uncle that, cousin this.
I've met a lot of Auntie Jennies.
Yeah, there's a lot of aunties, a ton of aunties. And for me, I even remember something as simple as doing the family tree project. The family tree project that they make you do. Going to my parents and like, okay, so like I knew my grandparents' name and I've met them. Like I've spent time with them, and a lot of time that I did spend with them, I was smaller. But as I got older, I really, I knew them, but I didn't know them. And it just, even like doing the family tree thing was like so hard, because it was just like, oh, well, I think your great grandfather, brother them John, I them cousin named Mary. Who is Mary again? Like, it's just all of these different dynamics. Because when you do come from an immigrant family, the whole dynamic changes when you move because people lose context. So even now as an adult, I'm almost using my child as a pathway into rebuilding and reconnecting some of those relationships and being intentional. Like I call my blood aunt once a week. We FaceTime, we talk. I go see my uncle in Jamaica, right? I go see my uncle, my aunt in London because it's so important for us to have that family so that he can see that.
Yeah.
It was hard growing up and not knowing your family.
I have a question for you. Do you think so? Big difference with us, right? Like, I feel like we can relate to so many experiences as like Caribbeans in America and being Caribbean American, all that stuff, right? But I wasn't born in Jamaica, right? I was the first one, born in the US. You were born in Jamaica.
I sure was.
Like, do you feel like there's a different sense of, well, one, do you feel like there's like a guilt in a sense, right? Where it's like
survivor's remorse?
Well, and not survivor's remorse, but more so, well, and let me say from my lens, right? For me, I've made a point to be very integrated into culture, right? And like, I mean, just even living in where I lived in Florida, I couldn't avoid being surrounded by Caribbean and being, being reinforced. But like, by birth, right? I can't say that from birth that I'm a Jamaican. I was born Jamaican, right? And to some degree, right, that's a big conversation point a lot of times, right, in our community, right, where it's like, oh, but you're not really Jamaican, right?
But I still get that. I wasn't raised in Jamaica. Like I lived there for I don't even know how long. My parents went back and forth.
Mine did too,
But I'm still not Jamaican enough and I'm not black enough. I'm like, give me a break. Like, because the test that they do to see if you're really from Jamaica, like, where you from?
Yep.
It's like, oh, Jamaica. What part of Jamaica? And if you can't
don't say Kingston.
If you don't say nothing beyond Kingston, then you done failed that test. But even for me, I'm like, oh well, I'm from XYZ, and just being in America, like, I don't know. I grew up with the best of both worlds because while we grew up in a predominantly West Indian community, I still ate mac and cheese like the regular, like a regular person. I didn't grow up eating oxtails. Oxtail is a delicacy. I don't even think nobody in Jamaica really eat oxtail, but somehow Americans have claimed that for us. Because I'm like, Americans eat oxtail, Dominicans eat oxtail. Like it's not a Jamaican thing. But regardless, for me, I think I'm more curious now. Like, I'm like, yo, okay, I know I was born there. I know I have this rich history. And like even being Chinese Jamaican on top of that, that's a whole other thing. Yes, there are Chinese Jamaicans out there.
Yeah.
There's so many layers to it. I'm like, I want my child to know that. So now I'm doing my homework.
Yeah.
Trying to like build relations. Like Brandon always says, he's the bridge, right? Like in his family, he is the connector that keeps on connecting. But I want to bridge that bridge for our child.
Yeah.
That's so interesting though, because even hearing you talk about, doing your family tree and being the bridge and doing the research, these are the types of things that used to really eat at me growing up.
Really?
And being in an environment, I went from a school that was very small, mostly Caribbean, and then a school that was predominantly white. And then to an HBCU, which was a much needed
You've been around
environment. So I've seen a few things. But I remember really obsessing over my family history and heritage and hitting intentional dead ends. Like finding out that actual real records about my family were burned. Because of the history, because that's what the situation is for a lot of African Americans, that you literally cannot trace things because a government or system decided that information was either one, no longer relevant, or two, it would tarnish the history of a location because of tourism or economically or any of these things. And so I remember feeling very defeated by that. Growing up in environments where I was surrounded by people who had such an awareness and such a pride in where they came from and so much knowledge about it, so much knowledge about the history of whatever country they came from, or could trace their ancestry back however far back they could trace it. And, I even remember an experience when I was in high school and we were talking about immigration. And we were split up for a debate. And it was, new immigrants on this side of the room, old immigrants on this side of the room. We had kind of figured out like who was who, right? And so the class split up, and it was me and one other kid in the middle.
Interesting. How? Oh,
Yeah.
that's deep.
Because we're not immigrants.
Right.
And
wow.
so there was, that's something that I carried with me my entire life, not being able to have that type of a conversation. And so when we got married, one of the things that we did, we had found out about African ancestry that allows you to like trace your lineage back to a specific tribe based on either your matriarchal DNA or your patriarchal DNA. And that was a very emotional time for us to kind of get those results back and kind of see those things, and to also kind of be able to communicate that to some of the friends that we met at Howard and things like that.
So you went through that process?
We did. We went through the process before we got married and incorporated even a couple of things into our ceremony based on that heritage and things like that. And so I think I went on a long journey of needing to balance the pride of the education piece, the ancestry piece, all of that, and oh wow, look at all of this history that I didn't know about, with also being able to feel comfortable with what I have, with the history that I have, the knowledge that I have. That is that oral history, that storytelling, and the pride in what I can see and what I know of what my whatever great-grandparents, grandparents beyond that did for me to be in the seat I'm in today.
I'd be curious to know for our audience too. I invite you all, just what were your experiences like, getting ancestry, building your family trees? What was that like, right? Did you all also hit dead ends, right? Because I'm sure that was heavy.
It was rough. Yeah.
Even with me, now that you bring that up, I remember, one year when I moved to New York, I was like a grown person, like big picnic, like grown. And I remember going to Ellis Island. Now, I know how immigration works. I know what data Ellis Island carries. For whatever reason, my crazy self started looking up information. Well, girl, your people ain't from here. And that moment was so deflating for me. Because it reminded me that, oh my God, you're living in a world that's different from what you think you're living in.
Yeah.
Like, you can't find your people on no Ellis Island. There's no record of your people here. What are you doing? And so even for me, you talk about records and systems. To access information about ancestry in Jamaica, you probably gonna have to go there. Right?
Yeah.
And talk to a few people. The art of storytelling and sitting at the feet of elders and like pulling it out of them that way, unless somebody knows another way. But from what I understand, and that for me, I guess I just stopped. I just stopped looking because I'm like, oh, I'm in America. There's no way to like really find the information. So just go hang out with family members and let that be that.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I feel like that's something that definitely both of our experiences, right? Like have played a role in the way that we want our son to think about his heritage and to think about
and embrace it.
Yeah, and embrace it. And it's, I think, certainly pushed both of us just to have a more focused intentionality. When we talk about like start kicking this off, right? Conscious parenting, right? Like really being very intentional about how we communicate things about our history and our heritage, and making sure that it's coming from a place of pride and an understanding that everything's not going to be perfect and you may not ever get all of the answers.
And one thing I want to do, because the term conscious parenting was something we heard, in one of our, me and Lee are very big advocates of therapy.
Yes.
We love therapy too.
Right. They call us millennials the
I have a great one.
We have many therapists.
Right. But they like to say us millennials here, Brandon.
Don't even
stop it.
We're gonna loop him into this, but he is a millennial. He is. Don't let him and his posture confuse you. But you know,
See, we're getting shady here. Please don't let me get out of character. I am trying my best to be a professional.
They comment and tell us about gentle parenting, right? And I will never forget our therapist saying to us, "No, you guys are consciously parenting," and that term really sat with me. Because parenting is hard. Parenting is hard, right? For all the reasons that we just listed, right? Just on that cultural piece. But I mean, I would be curious for you guys, like what makes you guys feel like you parent consciously, right? Like what will say like, oh, made me feel like these are conscious parents.
Thinking about his future and not just even his now, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna enjoy the moments now. They say the days are long, but the days are long and the years are short.
Yeah.
So I'm just more or less wanting to just like with his health, like I'm wanting to know everything about him. I want to know my history and Elisa's history, so that we can know.
I wanna pause on that.
Okay.
Just because I wanna commend you both for that because of how culturally taboo it is to really like dig deep into medical history.
I can't tell you the things that I have discovered.
Exactly.
I have to sit up in my seat for this one. And it's interesting because Brandon is the parent at the doctor's appointment with the notepad. He's got a lot. I mean, if you know Brandon, he's just going to have a laundry list of questions just to have them. He's at the doctor and he does his research. Like, I need you to test for this. I need you to test for this. And it's interesting because even just conscious parenting is advocating for your child.
Right.
Which he does a really good job, but I'm just like, okay, what we feeding him? Like, I need to know that.
Drink some tea.
Drink some tea. Can he drink tea yet?
Can he drink tea?
We have the tea conversation.
I've been trying to win the Leo over a little bit. I'll be like, just throw a little rosemary or something.
No, it does nothing.
I will say the part of conscious parenting that I want to let go of and not carry into parenting my child is the buffing. We're not buffing nobody over here. You know what buffing is?
I don't.
That's the spare the rod, spoil the child.
Yeah, that part.
Oh, okay.
Like, and I go back and forth because I'm like, ooh, like a little buffing ain't hurt nobody. But then I'm also thinking about all the other things that have come with buffing or beating your child. And I don't want that to be the first.
Yeah, I think we have a lot more awareness now too of other options, other alternatives, but also one thing that was really important for me and Omar in this, like I'm neurodivergent, our child is neurodivergent, and one thing that I said very early on, which I didn't find out until finding out that our child was neurodivergent, but one thing that I said very, very early on, I said, I don't want to do anything that will be traumatic to this child on the premise of something that he can't control because I can't control it. Like, it's about me and my control and what I can control. And so if I don't have all the information, if I don't have all the facts, like the best that I can do is try to pursue all of the different alternatives. Again, that consciousness part of it, and try to be the best parent that I can be. Yeah. And sure enough, we later find out that, yes, there's a lot that's not necessarily within his control or a lot that he's seeing differently than other people are seeing. And so therefore, we need to be more patient. We need to be more mindful. We need to get more creative. Yeah. And so I think, to your point, we have to just reimagine what that looks like, because I think for most of us, we was getting buff. So
we was getting buff, fling, and buff.
Flip flop or whatever in your culture gets done.
Again, just in terms of conscious, like literally, I think it's increasing the communication, like with our child, and not just do as I say and not as do what
do as I say, but not as I do.
Yeah, all of that. Like, no, we want
to talking
and create exactly. We want to create an environment for him to be able to express and communicate back respectfully, of course.
Yeah.
And again, also
don't pass your place.
And then also one thing that we're working on too, outside of regular health is financial health. Like, literally, don't want to leave him liable. We want him to have assets and to understand things we didn't know, and growing up and how to be financially strong. But I mean, he's only a baby right now,
Tell us
but it'll be here quicker than we know it. So we might as well just get everything prepared now.
I mean, and look, our parents did the best that they could with what they had, right?
Absolutely.
And they did that so that we could find ourselves in a better predicament. And it's crazy because now I understand what that means, because I'm like, yo, I want this little human to be better off than we are. And people look at us and be like, oh, y'all good. Y'all like, no, there's a lot more that we can be doing. But it's just, that's legacy. That's passing down legacy, and it's so important that you say he's just a baby, but to your point, you wake up tomorrow and it's like big man status. Like,
And then my final conscious parenting part I wanted to bring up is that we are, whether it's Caribbean American, African American in America, and I talked to Alicia about this. I say, there's some people who don't even know our son, this beautiful boy, but will say he's a monster or going to be a monster. So whatever amount of love that we can constantly pour, reinforcement, positive reinforcement, I am all day trying to make sure I pour into him, because when it's starting school, there's going to be forces that are going to try to bring him down or going to say what he is. And I don't want that for him. I want him to be prideful about knowing who he is and knowing he's loved.
And it's crazy because we come from families that love us, right? We don't lack love in
we have cheerleaders all day long.
I mean, listen, my mother, Jesus, if I say I want to be a clown baby, you're gonna be the best clown. But there is culturally too, and I think that's both in West Indian culture and African American culture, where sometimes parents show love through hard work. Right. They show up, they give love through their commitment, right, to making sure that we're safe and we're nourished, and we don't have to garrote and beg nobody for nothing. But it's finding that balance. Like, I also want him to see that his parents are committed to doing the work. My parents did the work. Like, they picked up from a whole other country. And like moved here, and they sacrificed. And I think that's important. I think it builds character.
Well, I was just going to say, I feel like we officially rebranded gentle parenting. I feel like conscious parenting is the official rebrand here. But again, I invite the audience here, tell us this in the comments. How are you consciously parenting? And you're gonna.
I mean, I think you're absolutely right. And I was just going to say, from a generational perspective, there's definitely a shift. Like, to your point, Alicia, there's also this, kind of idea of us being raised in an area of, tough love, like in that era of, especially for Black boys, right? Of like, I gotta prep you in here so you're ready for out there, which is very different. Notice from what Brandon said, which is, I need to love you in here because you may not always be loved out there. And that's a beautiful transition that we're making, and a new perspective that we're taking on this in order to, which, in the past we thought that's not a good way to protect them, but it is. That's a fantastic way to remind our kids that there's always a safe place here for you. No matter what is going on, no matter what happens, no matter what you get into on your own or what somebody else gets you in, come home. And you have support, you have community, and you have a village that's going to be there and have your back. And I think that's a beautiful thing and a wonderful thing that we're transitioning to.
No, absolutely. And I think this is a great segue into the game we have here prepared today. Wow. Save it or dash it away. Save it or dash it away.
So we're gonna break out our trusty boards.
Trusty boards here.
And we're gonna do one side of this is gonna be save
or dash.
Or dash.
Yeah, save or I don't know how to spell dash. Dash it.
Put DASHHHH.
Just do dash.
Dash.
You just put dash. I'm gonna go against the grain. I'm a
put a dash.
Dash.
Yes.
Yo. Okay.
Always. That's a work of art, right?
Wait, is that a dash or a slash?
No, isn't a dash just the dash?
The hyphen? We wrong. Dash.
You should have just wrote it.
Well, no, actually, where I'm from, that's a dash. Y'all never, y'all don't?
No, I can't.
No.
Okay.
Omar, you co-son?
No.
Okay.
They did. So
I think it's a slash.
Yeah. On my side of Miami, we didn't do that.
That didn't do dash?
We didn't do dash.
No, maybe dash is the horizontal. Okay.
But I get the premise of the game.
Yes.
All right, ready?
All right, so let me get myself situated here.
We gonna save it, or are we gonna
Dash it away.
Dash it away.
dash it away?
Can I get my partner to help
To
me
help
out?
you
a
out.
little?
All right, I got you. All right, so save it or dash it away. Walking barefoot outside.
Save.
Oh my goodness.
I knew it.
Who doesn't
Yeah,
want to?
I
Who
knew
doesn't
it
want to
too.
feel
The usual
grounded?
culprits. The
Yeah.
usual culprits of
Yeah.
walking outside barefoot.
Yeah.
You see,
I don't wear shoes in my house.
I don't wear shoes in my house.
Or
I don't wear
outside.
shoes in the earth.
That makes no
The
sense.
earth that nature give us. Stay grounded.
Stay grounded, my people.
Dash it away.
Stay grounded.
Stay grounded.
All right. Next one. Are we gonna save it or are we gonna dash it away eating all your food? I'm dashing that.
I'm dashing that.
Save.
Actually,
I want to hear your perspective on this.
Why you thought save first?
Why are we saving it?
this is one of those childhood things that just
Trauma.
don't leave you.
Trauma.
It's
That sounds like
trauma,
trauma.
but I think I'm gonna dash it away because
Okay.
that
Look
may
at
not
us.
be
Ooh,
healthy.
trauma to
Growth.
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 Trauma to
Yeah,
growth.
we
We're
gonna
seeing it.
grow.
Everyone at home is seeing this
Growth is
live and in
recorded.
action. This is trauma to growth
Thank
right here.
you.
We hope you're healing with us.
Trauma to growth is crazy.
Just
Okay.
dash that plate away.
Yeah.
Okay, if you full,
Dash
don't
it.
eat no more.
Yes, we're not forcing you. We're not waterboarding
No more
you.
force feeding, please.
Yeah.
Stop force feeding the babies.
Yeah.
All right. Performing on demand. This is the, hey, get your cousin, tell him come downstairs, wake him up because he do that little dance and I want my friends to see.
Sing that song.
I just changed
Sing that
it.
song
Sing that
here and
song.
I just
I-
changed
Recite
it.
the thing that you just learned, that poem, recite it for all my friends right here on the spot today at
Okay,
this moment.
okay. I did put save. Let me tell you why. Because at first I was on the dash side, but you know what? Sometimes, right? You know, it pushes you get a little out of your. I will say some of my personality. You know, I was.
Mhm.
You know, my dad was DJing on the side. You know,
DJ
yeah,
Daddy.
typical Jamaican. So, you know, we was the hype people getting the party started. You know what I'm saying?
I feel you, right? Here's my thought on it. If my child tells me, you know what? I want to be a performer when I grow up. And I'm a musician or I'm an artist and I want to put my stuff out there. Then boy, you better be ready at a moment's notice. Because if I see somebody who could make your dream come true, you need to follow up on your end.
Right.
And I will hold you accountable. But in terms of just like teach them to nay real quick. No.
Yeah.
Teach
Like,
them
why
to-
we gotta do that to our kids?
Or the typical millennials. So and so computer need to fix.
Oh,
Like,
right.
no, okay.
I'm not an
All right, never
engineer.
mind.
Such and such
Never
needs
mind.
help reading their doctor's notes.
Never mind.
Why?
I'm not a doctor.
Yeah,
I'm not a doctor.
I'm about to-
we gonna throw
We
that
gonna
out.
dash it
Bridge,
away.
bridge,
I'm about to get
the
triggered.
bridge.
Okay. All right. You have to work 10 times harder. Are we dashing it?
Garbage.
Oh, Brad. Oh, wow.
Yeah,
I
Wow.
gotta
Huh.
save it. It's
Okay,
the-
so this is interesting because
yep.
Yes.
this is the same flip that happened with the shoes thing.
Shoes are working
Because
hard.
Brandon and I
You know,
are on slave side. So I'm curious, Brandon. I want to hear from
Yeah,
you, Brandon. What
it's,
what was your thought on it?
you know,
I don't know if
it's just it's understanding the reality that comes with it
Mm-hmm.
of working 10 times harder. Do I think it's right? No.
Mm.
But I say strive to do it because it's the unfortunate reality that
That is so funny because that's the exact same thing I was thinking.
Mm.
I don't think it's right. I
want
don't
you to
think
work
it's
smart,
right.
too. We're gonna teach you how to
Yeah,
work
yeah,
smart.
of course. I don't think it's right that we have to that we feel like we have to work 10 times harder. I think educating our children on the realities of the world and what they're up against, I think is important.
Yeah.
I will couple this with it's also important to teach them self-care. I don't think we can
That part.
and I don't think that's historically what's happened. I think historically it's been very much a push of you need to work 10 times harder. You need to work 10 times harder but you also need to take care of
Or
yourself.
like we say, walk like brute beasts. We're not doing
Like a
that.
what?
I don't
Brute
know.
beast.
It's
A
brute bee.
I
Bird
haven't
bees.
gone-
I don't want to repeat
Birds
it.
bees. Are they
I ain't even
sponsored?
gonna lie.
Not Burt's Bees. Brute
I
bees.
ain't even gonna lie. I'm
Like
learning
you work
something.
or work
That
like
one
a
news
dog.
to me.
Like
Mm.
Yeah.
I just no, we're not taking that into this new era of whatever this is. Because my personal experiences, I wish that I saw healthier relationships with self-care.
Yeah. No, I agree.
it's
I
That
100%
was the
agree with that.
caveat.
I
So
100%
I
agree
get
with
that,
that.
but I'm all the way committed to
Y'all trying to
dashing
dash it
in the
away.
garbage.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
And that's
I feel
true.
it. Showing affection on demand.
Oh, we're gonna save this.
Showing affection.
I'm dashing it.
On demand.
On demand.
I'm dashing it. That's the your grandma's here, go give her a hug. That's
that part.
Mm-hmm.
The on demand piece.
It's the
Okay.
on demand of like, you need to, that's how we greet people, and you're gonna do it because it's rude to not do otherwise.
So if you're not
I'm
feeling
dashing it.
grandma right now, you need to be.
Nope,
that
I don't
boundary.
feel like I feel like kids are humans and it's okay for them to have physical boundaries. And I don't think it's fair that we force children to not have physical boundaries and to be in situations that are uncomfortable if they are uncomfortable. My go-to with our son is if he refuses to hug someone, if someone says, "Hey, can I give you a hug?" and he says no, I say, "What about a high five? What about a fist bump?" I give him an alternative that still, and it empowers him and respects his autonomy and his bodily autonomy, but he still is able to greet someone in a way that he's comfortable with.
Your body is my body. You don't have no.
Oh no.
That's see
Oh,
what
no.
in the words of your mother. What did she say?
own your body.
No. What did she say about her body though?
My mother actually
Exactly.
practices that because
She would back me up.
What
on
did she
this.
say, Omar?
It's my body.
It's
Thank
my
you.
My body.
It's my body. All right.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
All
So
right.
I'm dashing
She's
it.
ahead
man.
of her time.
Dashing
but
it.
I hear that, and I guess I hear that statement, and it's almost synonymous with being nice, being agreeable. You know, like
I think acknowledgement is important. But yeah, I think to Aaliyah's point, I think the alternatives, right?
Yeah.
And just recognizing
You do need to acknowledge people.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah. And I know we're especially sensitive with our son, especially as he's navigating a different world in a sense, right?
And also with that being said, I know how that feels.
Right.
Like I was the kid like who had these sensory cognitive differences and was being told you need to hug this person and was like skin crawling because I didn't want to. And I may not have expressed it that outward because being reared as a neurodivergent girl is very different than being reared as a neurodivergent boy. Whole other thing. But yes, there's something about that experience that is not positive, and I want him to build positive physical touch experiences and to know what that looks like and know what setting boundaries looks like.
We're dashing.
Yeah, whichever agrees, whichever part agrees.
But you still need to have respect.
I know that.
All right, we have a couple left. Are we saving it or dashing away? I'm not your little friend.
Yeah.
Can somebody get some clarity on that?
I'm not your little friend.
Know what that is?
It's like smell your arm.
No,
like,
it's like
we're not friends. You're a child. I'm an adult.
Right.
Oh.
It's like your parent telling you I'm not your little friend.
No.
Really?
Wow, Brandon.
Because Brandon was everyone's friend.
Aw, that's so sweet.
He was a friend to the world.
I love that for
Shout
you.
out to Gammy.
I love that for you.
Very emotionally intelligent, so she probably didn't say that.
Well,
absolutely.
I'm not gonna lie. Everybody said save except Omar. Do you have something to say for yourself about why you think it's cool to be our son's little friend?
That's my friend.
I'm not his little friend. I'm his parent.
That's my buddy.
When he gets older, maybe we can be buddies.
Yeah.
But right now, no.
I'm your parent.
I love him.
Yeah.
As a parent.
As a parent.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Like that.
Okay.
All right. Because I said so.
We just talked
Nah,
about
see, no. Yeah, I'm just gonna keep. I
think we all agree on this. It's come up. We're on the same page.
Yeah.
And the last one. This is a little interesting one. Kids as individuals. So, growing up, my experience, and I think very similar to some of your experiences, kids were very much not necessarily seen as their own person. You didn't necessarily get to have an opinion. You didn't get to have an identity. Parents didn't even really get to necessarily know anything about what you liked or didn't like. And if you wanted to have a relationship, you needed to get to know stuff about them. And that's how you did it because...
Okay.
Yeah, you could. You got a story. You got a testimony over there.
Now, I mean, not a testimony.
Say
Well,
it.
look, I just believe that We are all individuals and we deserve to show up as such. We do not deserve to be silenced, put in a box. And not saying that I was put in a box, but I think collectively as a community,
As a culture, yeah.
as
No,
a culture,
I feel that.
you know,
I don't think we respect children.
we don't.
I honestly don't. I don't say that to say like kids aren't valued or even protected. I think a lot of times in many households, kids are valued and protected. But the respect that you give another person who you consider to be your peer, in honoring them and honoring their personal voice, their passions, their interest, I don't think we give that to kids.
We don't.
We don't.
And we should.
And I think we should. I think we're dashing that away. That's going.
Dash it way.
Cancel
Dash
it.
it way.
In the words
way.
of my father, cancel it.
Cancel. Done it.
Done.
Rubbish.
Fantastic. Well, this was a very fun game. I feel like I learned a lot about.
A fun game, really thoughtful episode. So I just want to thank you all again for tuning in to Collard Blue and Collard Greens, and looking forward to chatting with you all soon.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining us as we celebrate love, family, and legacy across cultures.
There's always a seat for you at our table, so remember to like, share, subscribe, and give us your thoughts as we want to hear your stories.
Spreading joy, sending love. Thanks for joining us on the Collard Blue and Collard Greens podcast.